Okay, now actually we are in the journey of last 3 days. So we have discussed a lot of the things regarding the inventory assessment, all these things. So this also while after the inventory, so we have to do the monitoring. So for the monitoring, so this is really important that we have to do the proper sampling and proper analysis of our whatever the desired contaminant. So when we are starting from the sampling until analysis, each step should be, we should be very vigilant. That means from in anywhere, if we are making any mistake, like some errors, so it will make a in the final result also it will reflect. So we have to be very careful while doing the sampling and doing the, after the sampling means we need the transportation, storage, analysis, whatever it is. So in every single step we have to do, be very careful. So now I will directly go to the slide. So before I am starting the sampling section, I will just have a brief introduction, site contamination. Dr. Bodevin already discussed this thing. So what is site contamination? Site contamination exists where chemical substances are present on or below the surface of a site and result in actual or potential harm to the health or safety of human beings or the environment. That is not trivial, taking into account current or proposed land uses. Then when we are going for a general principle, so we have to follow a standard operating procedure and should be guided by a number of underlying principles. So we have to be practical and easy to implement in developing countries. So we have to look also, means not only for the developed countries, whenever we are implementing any sampling methodology, we have to think about the developing countries as well, because whether they could afford this thing or whether they have this type of technical technical help, or if they don't have it, this is our duty to help them to do the proper technical assistance. Then improve the ability of countries to produce a comparable data. Then strive for the simplicity and clarity of sampling program design, and establish a clear expectations for analytical performance. Then provide a consistent framework for future sample collections. Then we have a field sampling mission, like from the pre-field planning to under the data treatment and communication. So pre-field planning means when I was working from a lab like now or before, actually suppose we have a field work tomorrow, so we use the mail or the message from the correspondent in charge scientist that we have a field work tomorrow. So you have to do all the pre-preparation, like you have to arrange the bottles, you have to arrange the instruments, whatever the instrument that you need to take, and what are the labels you have to take, pen, markers, whatever the accessories. And suppose maybe sometime if we have if we need the storage of sample, so we have to carry ice box and we need to take the ice. So we have to do all these pre-sampling steps. And once we have reached in the field area or field work station, so we have to know that where we are now, so which location it is. So we need the GPS system, so we have to arrange all these equipments with us. And moreover whether if we are going for a water sample or sediment or soil sampling, we have to make sure that our corers or our grab or our Niskin sampler, whatever it is working fine. Otherwise, once we reach in the sampling area, maybe we are in the estuary or we are in the middle of the sea or we are in land region. So in that moment, if our instrument is not working properly, then it will be a headache for us, because we have to change our fielding depth the next day. So we have to be make sure that our sampling equipments working finely, so the day before the our sampling things. So we have to make a proper pre-field planning, like assembling the field crew, then the field work instruction and safety plan, training and briefing field crew, assemble equipments. Then we have to go, we will reach in the field sampling station, then the collection of sample, labeling, recording, storing, chain custody form. Here we will do the collection of sample, recording, storing, chain custody form. Here there will be a chance of missing of the proper labeling, because if we couldn't do the proper labeling, because we have to take the a sellotape or something like that, because we don't know when we are going for the field work, we don't know whether it will be rainy day or during the sampling there will be a chance of spilling of water. So you have to make a proper covering of this labeling. So otherwise, once we have finished all these things, once we reach in the reach back in the lab, maybe it is already erased because of this water. So that also we have to be very careful. Then after this field sampling, we need to do the proper transportation and storage from the field site to the laboratory. And once we have reached the laboratory, we have to do the laboratory analysis. And if we are not doing the laboratory analysis on the same day, so we have to do the proper storage technique for each type of chemicals what we are going to analysis. Then we have to do the QA and QC test, then the data treatment and communication. Then field sampling design. So this is also very important, that because most of the people when they are going for the field work, actually they don't know for what they are going for this field work. Actually they don't know the purpose of this field work or the purpose of the project. So it is very significant that we have to make them understand what is our goal of this project and what is the goal of our sampling. So then they can give their 100% sincerity to the field sampling. Otherwise they will just come like as a sightseeing and they will do something and they will go back. So it is not a proper way. Then we have to do the we have to do the proper planning, like what are the information already exist for the site, how we can do this thing. We can do this thing by like asking the questionnaires, or we can refer the previous publications and the published technical report regarding the concentration, type and extent of pollution, and do the people or animals live or work on or near the site. Then what are the likely human exposure pathway which need to be assessed, like what are the source of contaminant, who is possibly exposed, what are the pathways linking to the contaminants to the people, of course what is the budget available for us. Then quality assurance and quality control. So it is important that the quality assurance and quality control procedures are followed during sample collection and during a training exercise by participating national officials. So we have to use disposable latex gloves must be used to handle all the samples, specimen, and should be changed between sample and or specimens. Then cleaning of stainless steel dissection trays and tools. It must be rinsed with the distilled water, then acetone and hexane before each use and between the sample collection. Then sample jars must be pre-cleaned. Then multiple samples should be collected at all sampling stations, because a subset of these samples will undergo more than a single assessment methodology, and the result of these different assessment methodologies will be compared. Then proper storage, and sample must be appropriately labeled and stored in a either cool or in a dark area, and if they contain tissue should be transported to freezer facilities within 2 hours of sample collection. Then as I said, like we have to carry a GPS, because if we don't have the GPS, then we don't know from where we have collected our sample. Maybe we see that we will say that under the bridge or something like that, but it is not a proper way of recording. So we have to carry our GPS and we have to note our latitude and longitude properly. Then interview with local residents as well. Then field equipment. So we have like different types of field equipments, like soil and sediment survey equipments. Like we have sediment cores, and grab and stainless steel for mixing and handling tray utensils. Then electronic equipments like for the GPS for the latitude and longitude, and maybe we have like some for some specific area, maybe they have like a different structure, or maybe they have like different types of contamination. So it is always good to take a photograph of that thing. So we need to carry a digital camera, and it is better to have a laptop so you can feed all the things directly to the laptop, and the communication software, if whether we can able to do that thing. Then vehicle for the transportation, this is also important, right? We have to go from the lab to the field, and then we have to come back also. So for this thing we need to have the vehicle for the transportation, and the safety gear and equipments like first aid kit, because we don't know when we are going for a field work, if there is any accident happen, so we have to give a first aid kit. So it is always better to carry a first aid kit and gloves, safety glasses, hard hat, mosquito repellent, etc. Then reference materials like a published article or a technical report, topographic maps, hydrographic charts, etc. Then some like miscellaneous field equipments like tops, coolers, buckets, etc. Then how we will do this soil sampling methodology. Actually, individual grab soil sample should be collected at location throughout the hotspot site. If possible, these should be randomly selected and equally spaced. Then the presence of notable differences in physical soil qualities may necessitate the preferential selection of subset of sampling location. Then soil sample should be collected using a stainless trowel or shovel and be collected from the top 10 centimeter depth, that is of a soil. Then samples will be deposited into a stainless steel tray and will be stirred into a homogeneous mixture. Then samples will be then placed into one or more 125 ml or 250 ml glass jars. Then we have like some pre-sample preparations. Like first we have to identify or locate soil sampling site, then prepare sampling jar, then fill out field data sheets. Then we have a clean of soil sample equipment. So first we have to wear our gloves, put on gloves, then rinse the gloves with clean water. Then we have to first scrub the equipment with spark clean. Then rinse with water like 3 times. Then rinse with acetone. Then rinse with Xay. Now we reached in the soil sampling region. So what we have to do from here? So fill the location information using our GPS system. Then thoroughly clean all sampling equipments, like whatever we have, like a dredge, mixing tray, spoon, whatever it is, with a metal-free soap and deionized water prior to sampling at each site. Then soil samples should be collected using a stainless steel core sampler or trowel or shovel. Then collect 5 subsamples between 1 and 20 centimeter below the surface from area of 1 by 1 meter square. Then samples are collected in a stainless steel tray and stirred into a homogeneous mixture. Then samples are then placed into one or more separate glass jars. Then ensure that waterproof label on the containers include the sampling site number, date of sampling, type of sample, and the name of the project. Maybe sometime we will collect soil sample, sometime we will collect the sediment sample. So it is better to write which sample it is. Then after finishing all these things, then we have to do a final checkup, like complete a final checkup to ensure that the data sheet have been completed and that all required samples have been collected and areas are properly labeled. So then we will move to how to do the sediment sampling. So the sediment should be collected from a depth of 60 centimeter below the water surface, and the sampler should wade into the pond until the desired depth is reached, and then scoop sediments directly into sampling jars or by using a stainless steel pen. 3 individual samples should be collected at each site. Each sample should then transfer to the mixing pan, stirred into homogeneous mixture, and then placed into 3 separate pre-labeled glass jars. So the same procedure we will follow whatever things we have used in the soil sample, like identify or locate sediment sampling site, Then prepare sampling jars, fill out field data sheet. Then for the cleaning also, first we will wear our gloves and clean the gloves with water. Then scrub the equipment with spark clean. Then rinse with clean water like 3 times. Then rinse with acetone. Then followed by rinse with hexane. Then we will move to how to do this sediment sampling steps. So the same way, like first we have to fill our location details using the GPS. Then always wear a new clean latex gloves while sampling. Then thoroughly clean all sampling equipment. Then whatever mixing tray, whatever it is, with metal free soap and deionized water. Then, where possible, pond sediment should be collected from a depth of at least 30 centimeters below the water surface. The sampler should wade into the pond until the desired depth is reached, and then scoop sediments directly into sampling jars or by using a stainless steel pan. So repeat the collection because maybe first time we didn't get the desired quantity of this thing. So repeat the collection protocol until sufficient sediment volume has been collected to fill the sample jar. And be sure to record the number of grabs needed at each sample station in the note section of the field data collection form. Then using the stainless steel spoon, mix the sediment sample until it is thoroughly combined into a single homogeneous sample in a mixing tray. Then transfer representative subsamples of the homogeneous mixture to the clean sample jar using the mixing spoon. Fill the jar as full as possible with the sample mixture. And if the sample is we are going to be frozen, so we have to very careful in this case because be sure like some space to leave some space in the jar to allow the water expansion. Otherwise, the jar may be broken. It will be a chance to get broken due to this tight. Then ensure the label on the containers include the sampling site number, date of sampling, type of samples, name of the project. Then place clear plastic tape around the label to make it water resistant. Complete a final check to ensure that the data sheet has been completed and that all required samples have been collected and are properly labeled. Immediately place collected sediment sample in a cold or dark place, and depending upon our analysis, we have to keep it in a proper storage places. Then once we have done our sampling, now we reach into the lab. Then we have to follow the extraction thing. So for the non-polar and for the polar compound, like we have like different extraction. So we will do this extraction procedure, and for like we have like some specific standard operating procedure for this thing. Then for the polyfluorinated compound, after the extraction, we can use for the LC mass. Then after the extraction for the non-polar compound, we will do the acid cleanup. Then we will have a 1 ml of samples. So we will divide this 1 ml of sample into 0.5 ml and 0.5 ml. So these things, Dr. Carroll, he's shown in his previous talk. So we have to do like 0.5 ml and 0.5 ml. So if the first 0.5 ml we do the activated silica cleanup and the other one FMS cleanup. So this 0.5 ml again we will part into one for the GC mass for the PCB analysis and the another one for GC mass for the organophosphate, organochlorine pesticides and polybrominated diphenyl ethers. And here the FMS part we will go for the HRMS, that is dioxin and dioxin like PCBs. So from the beginning until the analysis, we have to be very careful because this trace analysis, like it may require lot of care. Otherwise, because already we have some human errors will be there and instrument errors will be there. So it is not acceptable that we are making a errors that we have to reduce our errors as much as possible. So that's all for now. Thank you so much. Now I think now the floor is open for the discussion and the final discussion. So this is because this is our ending day. So now I am giving the floor for the open discussion. Yeah, Dr. Hassan.
Yes, Yasser.
Yeah, now the floor is open for the discussion.
إذا في أي سؤال يا أخوة.
And one more thing, before I am giving the floor to Dr. Hassan and other other people. So this is our final day of the workshop, and we will provide all the materials that we have done for the each workshop. Like we will send the PDF copy to the correspondent of the Iraq, and inshallah we are starting a YouTube channel under the SCRC Kuwait in very soon, and we will upload all the videos to this site. And before that, if somebody require our video link, so please contact me so I can provide you this link. And also all the participants, we will give you the participation certificate as well, because I already have the list of participants. So we will provide you the certificate with the signature of the director of SCRC Kuwait. So that's all now. Now I am giving the floor to Dr. Hassan.
طبعا احنا في نهاية الورشة شكل الجميع مشاركتكم. جميع المحاضرات راح نسجلها وتكون في اليوتيوب معنونة بعنوان المحاضرة واسم المحاضر. جميع اللي في الورشة هذه، وفي ورشتين سابقتين أيضا راح تكونون أيضا بنفس الطريقة في موقع أو قناة خاصة للمركز الإقليمي. يعني احنا عاملين الآن 3 ورشة في شهر 9، ورشة لعمان ثم ورشة الريجونال، وهذه ورشة العراق وفي ورشة فلسطين. جميع المحاضرات ممكن تستفيدون ترجعون لها. جميع المواد أيضا ممكن تاخذونها عن طريق الإيميل. أيضا بالنسبة للشهادة، بمجرد ما تسجلون الفورمة يفترض أن الشهادة تجيكم تلقائي. أنا في النهاية أحب أشكر الجميع على المشاركة وعلى حسن استماعهم للمحاضرات، وأتمنى يكون في تعاون في المستقبل. Thanks all who's presented their presentation and who's participated. Thanks all. شكرا للجميع.
And I would like to share their video once, so we can have a screenshot of the participants. So it will be good. So
I apologize for interfering directly.
Yeah, please.
Sorry about that. I expect I have a problem when I want to raise my hand. I only have a speech in Arabic language, if that possible, please.
يتكلم عربي معنا.
شكرا دكتور. بس كان عندي أحب كلمة بسيطة لكم الأخوان في وزارتنا، وزارة البيئة الاتحادية. بصراحة أشكرهم على تنسيقهم وتعاونهم المستمر في مجال تنفيذ بنود الاتفاقيات الدولية، وأشكر المركز الإقليمي لاتفاقية ستوكهولم لتوضيح المفاهيم المتعلقة بصراحة بتنفيذ الخطة الوطنية الاتفاقية وتقديم المساعدة في مجال الفحوصات المختبرية والاستشارات. ممنونين وجزيل الشكر لكم، وأشكر جميع المحاضرين للمعلومات القيمة بصراحة اللي استفادينا منها. إن شاء الله في إقليم كردستان راح نتواصل ويا وزارة البيئة الاتحادية ونحاول أكيد ننفذ بنود الاتفاقية ونستفاد من هذه المعلومات القيمة اللي بصراحة أعطيتونا إياها، اللي على مدى هاي ال3 أيام اللي شملت مواضيع عديدة وشاملة. فالشكر الجزيل لكم. نشكركم جزيل الشكر على تقديم هذه المعلومات وعلى هذه ورشة العمل المهمة بصراحة. شكرا للجميع.
شكرا بارك الله فيك. شكرا يا أخي. طيب احنا بالنهاية thanks all، وإن شاء الله نشوفكم في مشاريع في ورش أخرى أو نتشارك في مشاريع إن شاء الله. وبالنهاية نسلم عليكم ومع السلامة.
Okay, so Dr. Hassan,
yes,
can we take a photograph?
يا ممكن مشاركتنا يا أخوة، إذا ممكن تفتحون الكاميرات ويا بعض وناخذ صورة جماعية. للأسف إلكترونيكس إذا في مجال.
عادي، كل مجال موجود المجال.
Okay, please smile. Yes. Okay, thank you so much.
شكرا يا اسد، شكرا للجميع. السلام عليكم، مع
Sure,
السلامه.
bye, bye, bye.
مع السلامه.
شكرا، مع السلامة.
مع السلامه.
السلام عليكم.